I don't want to be so camouflage.
Uh, are we on
Uh,
YouTube now? Yes, we are on
are we on
YouTube.
YouTube?
Yeah, we
Hello,
are.
YouTubes.
We're not on LinkedIn
People.
today. I don't know why. We'll talk about it later. The time zone setting in LinkedIn is kind of weird. Well, setting up an
Okay.
event in LinkedIn, as it is. Sometimes it's working,
Hazardous.
sometimes not. As it is.
Yeah,
As it is.
that's not great. I assume they want people to do it if they made a feature.
Hope so. Hope so. Twitter is getting better. It will get better soon.
So
So
do we go
Monday
live on there
morning.
too?
No, well, not today. Normally,
Okay.
yeah. But today it's
Okay.
weird. It's a Monday morning. So some platforms said, it's Monday morning. Come on. It's just,
Chugga 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 chugga
you know.
chugga. Yeah.
That's it.
They're
The
just,
exact song.
you know, just trying to start it like a weed whacker.
I heard a weed whacker this weekend while I was, sleeping and
Mm,
reading a book. It's the worst sound. After a leaf blower, I think it's the worst
no,
sound. No.
it is. It's not cool. It's not good at all.
There's laws. There's laws.
There's a lot.
So let's see if I did for another week. Morning will be fun. And we have 2 minutes in front of us, but I think we'll do just to talk for some time. I think we'll do more dataization for the week because it's kind of one of our current interests.
It's one of our current. It is one of our current interests. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. There's great books. There's great references about it. It's something that's sometimes overlooked or outsourced to someone else, a data engineer, or I'll help you make it good. But here the layout, here the real estate where you put your data visualization team. In enterprise UX, I mean. So, and sometimes it's because I feel, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, it's most data visualization tools or UI stuff is generated by a third party tool.
100%.
It's a framework by itself. It's hard to to play with it a little bit, and so yeah.
Yeah, it's really challenging from the design workflow perspective.
Mhm. What was the most challenging thing when you asked to improve this experience of visualizing complex data sets of stuff?
Well, I think there's a lot of complexity factors in there. It's hard to even say like a top one.
Mm.
Um, I would say it's really difficult to understand the composition of the data to recommend a good visualization for it.
Mm.
And the quality of the data and like how long term is it? What's the high end? What's the low end? How much of a range do we need to make? Those sort of questions are actually really difficult to understand because you need to get someone to analyze the actual data. And sometimes you're not at that analysis stage, kind of.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm trying to design something that makes sense. I'm trying to figure out what the edge cases are. It's really challenging, especially the bigger that your data set gets or the weirder it gets.
You're right. You're right. I know for me, the last one I did was to make it accessible, in a big system. Yeah, it was a doozy. It was hard.
That sounds like a doozy of a doozy.
But I did something, helping people. So let's dig into this to this problem of the week. Oh, by the way, hi Don.
What's
You know
up?
Don? Yeah,
Is Don
he's
here?
online with us. Yeah, he's here with us.
Hello.
I just received your coffee at home. I cannot wait to drink it tomorrow morning. Thank you so much. So yeah, we love gifts. If you send us a gift, we'll just love them. We're for that. So you're fixing one of our problem with gifts. What adaptation? Okay, the problem from who exactly? From user. Okay, it's a number. So it's a
user
robot.
3237169.
It's
Hey,
a
bud.
robot. It's not someone. Yeah, it's a robot.
We got to make a
asking you questions.
nickname for this person.
Okay, it's well, it's not bloody knuckle.
Jerry. No, I don't want to say that either.
No.
Let's just call the person Jerry.
Jerry. Okay, Jerry.
Jerry. That's my
Jerry's
favorite.
asking what data visualizations are there for showing and relationships mapping between data input and output names. Okay, we have some, complicated word for Monday morning. Oh, we're just UX design here. We're just pushing pixels. Making it look good, not fixing real problems. I'm building a UI with the primary goal of mapping the name of each piece of data from a name to another one. That's kind of cool. A device might give the same data different names, okay, but once it arrives, is to be used in the cloud. These pieces of data should be mapped to the same uniform name, okay, so the UI developer not bother by inconsistent naming and hardware level. Oh, hardware naming devices done. You're at the right place. Mathematics often visualize as a mapping diagram like this. Input A, output X. Good. However, since they can be 1,000 in both the input and output sides, okay, 1,000 on the left, 1,000 on the right. You can give the user an overview by illustrating it this way. Yeah, it could be too much. I can perhaps, in most cases, bring that couple down to a couple of hundreds with filtered data on categories and such. Okay, so got it. A lot could be filtered. However, we're still talking about a couple of hundreds on each side, which can have an relationship everywhere. Okay. There are Sankey diagram. Yeah, we can talk about it for a while. However, relevant here. Okay, yeah. So Sankey diagram is just visual hierarchy in sizes. Good. Right now, the best that I can come up is a tree map chart or a tree map. Okay, classic. However, it can break it into multiple layers or keys. It will be hard to read. That's true. So I'm hoping that someone might have some great ideas how to visualize and the mapping between two entities, input names, and physical in a way that scales. Oh God. We have a challenge. It's right in our
Oh,
bio.
God.
For
I'm
Monday
just
morning.
gonna slowly. No, I'm gonna be courageous. I don't have to be scared. We don't have to be scared of this.
No, we don't have to be scared. Okay, let's talk about the problem. What do you think of this problem? So I don't feel that the problem is around mapping them. Is it about mapping them or visualizing? Seeing. Wow, that's a Monday morning. Is it to map them and then see the results, or see the result of
I don't think it's actually the mapping part. I think it's the visualization. Yeah.
So why do they need to see it visually? Why?
That was my first question. Why though? Why? We could just assume that it's almost like a DevOps type of person or something that needs to see these. Like someone highly technical, I would assume, would be the consumer of something like this.
So we can start running the problem as a user of, how you would say that?
Some kind of crazy software that I don't know what it is.
The crazy device managing.
Yes.
The user need to visualize. But visualize what exactly? That's what I want to know. So input and output. So there's a ton of data. Device missing different names. So
this must be like a troubleshooting use case type of thing.
Ooh.
I would imagine, right? This feels like so granular. I think about stuff like audit trails or things like that, or logs or something.
You think there's more input and output? There's more steps between inputs and output? You think?
No, not necessarily. It
No?
just makes me, I'm just kind of conceptually mapping it to something really detailed. That's all I'm thinking about.
Again, the problem is showing NNN relationships. It's not exactly visualize it in a map. That's not a problem, right? The problem is just to show
Yeah, I think
relationships.
it's kind of showing it. Yeah, showing it in a scalable way that won't break.
Ooh. Ooh.
And that can scale to
Understand
the nth degree.
relationship of
Devices to
a group at scale. But why? Why do you need that? That's the thing. It's very hard to understand. Why you would need
the UI developer is not bothered by inconsistent naming at the hardware level. So the UI developer is not bothered by inconsistent naming at the hardware level.
Okay, so input data name on the physical device to the output data name for unified use in the cloud. So we feel like there's an original name, a source name, and you need to group them and have a more friendly grouping in the cloud.
For
So you-
unified use in the cloud.
Unified use in the cloud.
Every time somebody says unified in the context of UX, I literally never have an idea of what they're talking about. What do you mean unified user experience?
It's again, it's okay. So there's group, and you want to know what was the input to create this.
Yes.
Group. That's pretty
Input
much
data
it.
names on a physical device to output data name for unified use in the cloud. So input data names on a physical device. Input data names.
It could be an interesting diff for a week, meaning it's not really a problem, or it's not a problem well stated, or there's maybe not a problem.
Well, we have to assume that they need to be, yeah, I mean, big question marks. Should we just assume that it does need to be visualized? And that is a real use case that makes sense?
So it need to be visualized. Okay. For what? What do we think you would need to visualize it? Because you want to understand, have a snapshot of what's in the cloud in general, or you want to dig in, or you want to act on the groups. Why would you need to visualize here? Because you want to understand the input and output in the position.
Maybe it's the overview
The
type
overview.
of case. I mean, like this person is talking about the UI developer is not bothered by inconsistent naming at the hardware level.
Okay, so the primary goal of mapping the name of each pieces of data from one name to another. Okay, so they're renaming stuff. They are renaming stuff, and now the output is a little bit different, but they need to know, well, the history or the origin or the source of this renaming. That's pretty much it. That's what they need, and they want to be able to understand it quickly, to have an overview of that. And the renaming in batch, I think, what I feel like. They're having 100 of device here, they're renaming them in some sort of way, and it could be sequential in a way, and then this is grouped. So you can feel like these bunch of devices were just renamed and grouped together. So it's a workflow. You need to see it. Maybe do you have to visualize it? That's still my point. My question: do you really need to visualize it? Because if you go through a workflow of grouping, filtering, selecting, going to the next, renaming them, and putting it somewhere, is it the snapshot of what you did, or do actually the workflow of what you want to do? We have to make some assumptions here.
We do, yeah. I'm asking my intuition, and she's not saying anything.
Oh, we have to find it somewhere. Where's your intuition
Yeah.
here?
I know. I'm just trying to like reread it. I'm like, oh, I'll get it on like the 15th time.
What we can do is to provide a snapshot of what they did. That would be great. Whatever you did, you renamed a bunch of devices and you put it in group, and you want to, but why scale? Because weight is not important now. So you just need to show the input and output of a bunch of devices or a group. That's it. So
Okay.
let's say we don't need to visualize it in a mapping diagram. We just have to. We need to understand the relationship between after we rename a batch of them. It's not well said. I need to understand. Okay. Of devised, we rename and grouped. The relationship. I understand how device were renamed and grouped. That's pretty much what we need. We just need to understand how they were renamed, how they were grouped, and that's it. What we needed for that. Okay, that's pretty much it. I don't see. Now we can question if we want to visualize it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how should we have a visualize experience? That's my question. What else? It's about confirmation in a way. Feel like it's about confirmation.
Yeah. Related to that, I was just asking, do we need to depict diffs?
Oh.
Or not? Like differences from.
Differences. That's interesting. And do you want to see that as groups or individually? Feel like it's by group? No, it's not. Well, it could be 1,000 both and put it out. So yeah, it has to be in group. Yeah, it has to be in group. So diffs, that's how we could see it. Diffs between a group of items. That's a challenge. I know
Yeah.
items by names, but by group, that's interesting. So how we can group? So grouping feel like we cluster visually, but what else? We could do that in a data table. It could just be more richer. So data table can help here because data table are the natural way to group stuff together. But we can have tree mapping in data tables. It's not impossible.
Yeah, you can. And then the other thing is UI wise.
Yeah.
I feel like a scalable thing is probably going to have some kind of expanding and collapsing capability.
Scaling, expanding, and collapsing. So of course we need filters somewhere, sorting also, but now by groups. That's interesting. So we need to be able to filter them by groups. Yeah, and it could be.
Oh, never mind.
No.
Well, I was just gonna say also, this person may not need to like build it from scratch, depending on
No.
which direction we go. Like, there's I was just thinking about like entity resource maps / data model visualizations where they're pointing all over the place and they have a system of scaling it.
Oh, go again? Can you go on?
Yeah, like because EMRs or entity wait no, sorry, entity I'm having a moment. Entity resource diagram, ERDs. Sorry. These are basically like depictions of, I'm just trying to find a screenshot quickly, depictions of data models, which have an end-to-end relationship in lots of cases. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So is this like,
can
I
say.
think, yeah, I think
Yeah.
a more traditional one would kind of be like this puppy here.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know, because you can point to like lookup tables or I don't know,
Mm.
databases can point all over the place, right? Because they can do whatever they feel like.
It's true. That's classic. So that's a mix of the tables and relationship, and we can think about making it scalable by collapsing, expanding, or even having a snapshot, an overview of this, and see the relationship of it, and then
What
having
about
yeah.
Benoit? Like you were talking about like data tables and kind of a tree within. That might be a better idea than this because these are all connected to each other and they go into like a depth, and you would use that if you wanted to show like a really intense hierarchy. But I think that these just have kind of two sides to them, and one can just be a really long list.
And the long list is too long, it's not scalable, but if you group them, it's manageable. But I'm finding it curious to use this classical chart and see how, instead of having tree level inside, we start with a tree level and then we have the multiple data table. It's not impossible. I've seen it. Maybe the problem is that, and this is what we see a lot in with the dev. They really want to see a database. They want to see the interior of a database. They want to see what the content of it. But you can have different layers of it. You can see the relationship and click on it and have something else to understand what's inside. You need to understand the relationship first and then dig in. Having everything at the same level is kind of why. That's always my question. So why do you need 1,000 on the left and 1,000 on the right? What help you to compare them? It's impossible to compare them. You're not doing it row by row. It's impossible. So what you want to, but the weight doesn't matter. So you want to see the journey, the relationship. So my question again is why you need to see everything at one level all the time. So yeah, having this as a slight snapshot of left and snapshot of right, click on it and dig in the data table would just make sense because you want to know more and now you want to retrace your step maybe or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because having 1,000 2-3 kind of groups, 2-3 groups of 1,000 items in a data table, why? Is it because you want to move it to another list? That's not the goal here. This is the goal of visualization. That's another problem. We could go through a workflow, move all of them to another, and done with, here. Visualize it and then go deeper and be able to, go would make more sense. That's my assumption. What do
Yeah,
you
so
think?
we're just gonna yeah, I'm with you. I was just writing a little sticky for us, not sure if there's a workflow implicated in this situation or not.
Okay, so let's quickly just do how we could visualize the relationship, all the step to show all the depth and the complexity of the next step, the next layer. But something as quick as as a window here, and how would you visualize that?
Okay, well,
how would
I would
you
have
summarize that table or a complex, a list of items in one little UI element? You know the concept of lead space that we have? Can we make a mini version of a lead space?
say that again. What?
You know the concept of a lead space that we have?
Yeah.
Can we make a mini version of it?
Me version?
A mini.
Mini
smaller
version. Ah, yes.
mini version. So one of the concepts of our lead space is we kind of love this component in enterprise UX is we have a place where the context of the page reside. We have the title, we have the breadcrumb, we have the main action, we have even a small description. We can even customize the page there in a way we can show the state of the page. We have the branding also of the lead space. The lead space, is the context of everything else. It's not just the title. It's more than that. There's an intro. Is it, if it's a dashboard, for example, is it a default? Is it made by you? Did you customize it? So a lead space for us, it's a big chunk of real estate on top of a page where we give more context, and we try to summarize what you will see, below. And we love it for many reasons. You can add tags, we can add a lot of stuff, and in enterprise UX, it's okay to scroll, by the way. There's no above the fold kind of thing too much in enterprise UX. It's okay to have context. Context is kind of very important. And so if you take the space to really help the user to understand where they are, what they can do, the main action, now after that, they know where they are. So having this kind of concept inside a flow could be something, maybe. I'm just maybe rambling while Kira is having fun with a UI. But how can we now just make it a little bit more usable than just this? I need your help here.
Yeah, there's actually, I'm just grabbing this object here to help because it has some, change the background just slightly. It has a little bit of out of the box functionality that could be cool to kind of represent.
Sure.
So this, at least this object in Whimsical, it does an expansion, as you can see here. So this could be a potential way to scale some stuff. So that's just an idea.
No, it's a good. I'm just replicating it in another way.
Yeah.
Last update. So could be using cards, the classic card stuff, where we have a title and we have a description, we have maybe even an expand version, and we link cards together. It could be that. So let me just create a title for fun.
I'm going to get wild and put a little bit of a filter bar in here.
Oh, wild.
It really is.
So cards where you could have, details of it, small details. And what you can do also is have something like that. chevron. Let's add any kind of a dot, maybe, or something like that. It's not the right one, but whatever. We can do something like that, and we have another card. Or it could be start at the beginning here. We can say there's a relationship here. And we can have labels like that, so this, and if we click detail, we could have, a simple model, a full screen model, where we can have a data table and see what happened, and maybe even see the relationship here. But this is one example. That's it. I don't want to make it more complex than it is. Cards can be useful here, and cards, and we can see that in various design system. Cards already have the skeleton to what's the title, where's the art action, how you describe it, how you even expand a card, and how you can link a card to another card, and that's it, because weight is not important for this problem. So if using cards here, please link cards. Links cards into kind of an org chart, a chart, or whatever. Why not? It's possible. And then when you click on it, this is where you'll see all the details, the tables of all your items, and that's it. I don't see that too complicated. I don't want to complicate it too much. This is the goal. This is the problem. What do you think?
And I think that's a super good point. The one thing that I think this could be like a total or something that says how many things are in here, or maybe this is just a one-to-one in this case, right?
Yeah.
Between thing and thing.
Yeah.
And I was just going to also throw it out there of idea of progressive disclosure in terms of default decisions you might make upon page load. So sometimes if you sort of collapse things and then allow people to sort of open them up and find them gradually, that can be a good approach as well. So I just put expand all as one of the viewing options. But in something that's canvas based like this, where you do have things that are scaling and getting bigger, the key is around like managing the size and the zoom and stuff like that of things, and making sure you can scroll and etc.
Absolutely. So it's a canvas experience. That's a word here.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Giving us a good point. Also, could we use it to generate reports or see trends? We could, absolutely. So this is something here for the list page that could be useful. You can switch to another kind of report, create it, share it, duplicate it, or have another kind of version. I would use this lead space to do something about this. Add this to it, or things like that. And the filters could be many things. We need filters. So Kira did some filters on the top, because it's a canvas experience. Yeah, it's true. Can be on top or on the bottom. Maybe, I don't know. But using visualize it this way, that's good. Let's summarize it. Let's not spend too much on it, because we've made so many assumptions. So many.
It's like, how much deeper into these assumptions should we go? It's the question.
I'll let you summarize.
You sure?
Yeah. Please.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So our friend Jerry on UX Stack Exchange has a big problem with scaling. What he's asking is, what data visualizations are there for showing end-to-end relationships, mappings between data input and output names? So to kind of summarize what they're going through here, we have sort of a unlimited amount of items that could be mapped to also an unlimited amount of items, n. So what we were trying to discover in this problem was basically how to visualize that in a way that's really useful and doesn't get in the way. So we started off with our problem, as we do, our problem statement. As a user of a bizarre device management software, I must comprehend how devices are renamed and grouped. And so we made a ton of assumptions going into this problem and had a few different thoughts. So first of all, should we have a visualization type of experience here? Our friend Jerry talked about different types of visualizations and what would work the best and things like that. So we just questioned, do we actually need to visualize this? Maybe it's just a data table sort of thing or something like that. We wondered if we need to depict diffs or changes between kind of original names and things like that. We decided not to because we don't actually know that's the use case from the problem that we read. Do we want to see groups? Yes, we definitely do. Should we try data table tree navigation? We considered that. We thought about expanding and collapsing as like a key part of the scaling component so that people can progressively see things. Do we need an overview type of experience in here? We weren't quite sure. We didn't know also if there's a workflow implicated in here or if it's just a straight up like, what was this thing? So we wondered that, but we decided not to make too many assumptions and go forward with a workflow. And we decided too that filters and groups are and sorting are going to be important parts of this, especially as we think about scaling and that idea of like 1 to 1,000, for example, could be a case when we want people to be able to whittle it down. We did consider entity resource diagrams as a bit of an inspiration, but we really wondered if it was worth it because there's only potentially like 2 levels of hierarchy here, and but they are really built to scale in like a real way. So we kind of settled on a bit of like a middle ground solution in the end to suggest. So first of all, we start off our page with a lead space, or the part of the page that gives context to users of where they are and what they're going to find in the page. We have the option to have a status in here, description, as well as a very articulate title to set the scene. So we basically created a card layout. So similar to things you might see in like an org chart software or something like that, where we have a card which has a description in it, as well as the ability to see more details and then expand. So this is a one-to-one that we're showing here, but the idea in this experience is that it's canvas based in a way. So if you think about different software where you can draw or things like that, the canvas itself is scales really well. So that's kind of what we were thinking about for this. And so as things scale and get longer and longer, or larger and larger, then we would have the canvas adjust appropriately to the situation at hand. We also suggest that there's some expand functionality, like expanding all, or maybe other viewing options that might make viewing this a little bit more simple. We put our filters like very at the top to really show the importance of, or to really allow people to find what they need, especially if there are thousands of entries in here. We had a great suggestion as well from the crew watching us today. Dawn, thank you. For the idea of action buttons at the top. So this may be actionable in terms of reporting or something like that. So perhaps exporting would be handy, or sharing, something like that. So that's what we thought of to solve your problem, Jerry. Again, lots of juicy assumptions to take us through this problem. So we can stop now. These are the most assumptions we're going to make all week, right, Benoit?
Oh, yeah, that's enough visual love for today. unfolding before your eyes. Thank you for this. That's what again, a hard problem of the week, but I love this because uncharted
Yeah.
territories. And again, if you have other problems like that, you know how to reach us, how to comment, join us, live next week to help us fix the problem. Tweet at us, DM at us, send us an email, subscribe to newsletter to know more about the next Deaf of the Week. But thank you again, Kira, and see you next
Thank
week,
you.
everyone.